Welcome to John Harris Campus. Today we have a very special guest. His name is the real Rick Ross. Hello, sir. My name is Deontay Payne. And do you mind if we ask you a few questions?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
How did you get the name Freeway?
I grew up in South Central LA. My mom had bought a house right on the side of the freeway. The freeway had become our playground. So that was initially how the name started, but as my reputation grew and my legend grew, so did the name Freeway.
Okay. Many believe that the government played a huge role in the crack era. Do you believe that you were just used as a tool to bring down black communities, or do you even feel at fault for part of the disruption in the 80s?
It's funny that you asked me that. I just got off the radio prior to me pulling up here to the school, and I was talking to a radio station in Chicago about the same thing. And the way I explained it to them was like this here. The government's army was selling cocaine. The government admitted that they knew that their army was selling cocaine. As a government official, it's your job and your duty to detect, to stop, and to report crime. Them knowing that their army was selling cocaine and they did nothing to stop it, they also allowed these guys to use military planes, military bases, and also United States money to buy drugs. That makes them a co-conspirator. The way I know the law of conspiracy, they could be convicted of conspiracy or aiding and abetting at the very least.
Okay. If you had not been caught for the first time, where do you think you'll be?
Oh, wow. Probably worth a couple $100 million. I had stopped selling drugs a year and a half before I ever got arrested. But with the feds, what they can do is they can go back 7 years. So that means that if you commit a crime today, they have up until, 2024 to arrest you for a crime that you commit today. So no matter that you quit selling drugs, you can still be arrested 7 years later. But I had already started transitioning my life out of the drug business because I never really wanted to be a drug dealer. Drugs was nothing that I had predicted in my future that I would be when I was coming up. I ran into the opportunity. It was a time that I was at my lowest state in life, and I didn't know what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I don't know if you know or not, but at that time I was totally illiterate. So my opportunities were very limited.
Yeah, you had to get what was there for you.
That's what I thought. See, I never knew that I could dictate what I wanted out of my life, and I was kind of just like going through life, letting life dictate to me what was going to happen next, like so many of our people do right now.
Okay. What first sparked your interest in the crack business? Oh, you just told us that. So.
Well, what happened is one day I was sitting on my mom's porch, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. You know, my life is like I'm in no man's land. What we call it in tennis, we call it no man's land, meaning that you're in a position on the tennis court where you don't know what you're going to do. You play football, so you probably know from what position you play.
Inside linebacker.
So you play inside linebacker. So now you in the middle of the line, and you close to where the DBs are at. That's kind of like, I believe, would be almost like a no man's land for you, where you almost playing DB and you almost playing linebacker. Yeah. But you don't know which one you should be doing at this time. So that's kind of like where I was at that time. I didn't really know what I was going to do with my life, or what I should be guarding. Should I be guarding the receiver, or should I be trying to go up and get the running back? Yeah. And my friend called me and he introduced me to cocaine for the first time.
Oh, wow. How did going to jail affect your family and your relationship with them?
Going to jail affected all my family because at that time I become the breadwinner for my whole family, or really maybe my whole generation, because everybody, my uncles, my aunties, and everybody was affected by the money that I made. The money that I made benefited the whole family, and when I went down, it affected the whole family. It really affected my kids the worst because now something that I had always hoped that would never happen, because I grew up without my father.
Yeah.
And I had always said that a kid needs their father to be there for the strength and the support and ideas. And for me not to be there with my kids affected them greatly.
And what good can come from being in jail?
Well, a lot of good can come from being in jail. What I did when I got to jail, I decided that I wasn't going to let jail do me, that I was going to do jail. And what I meant by that is that I wasn't going to just be sitting there watching TV, playing dominoes and chess and cards, and watching football games. So what I did is I decided that I was going to take that time and do some of the things that I didn't do when I was in school. And the first thing it was to learn how to read. Lucky for me that I did learn how to read, because had I not learned how to read, my lawyer had counted me out. He told me that I would never be getting out of prison, because I got a life sentence without the possibility of parole. And in the feds, that means that you're never going to get out of prison again. So I taught myself how to read and write. I went from there to reading law books. I got so good at doing the law that when I walked in the courtroom, I felt that I was the smartest person in the courtroom. Was I the smartest? I don't know, but I felt that way. I felt enough confidence in myself to start telling my lawyer what he should be doing, telling the prosecutor what he could do, and telling the judge what she could do. From that, allowed me to set the record to where eventually I got myself out of prison, and that's why I'm here today. So going to prison definitely affected me in ways that I don't even know if I could have done on the street. From there, I read over 300 books while I was in prison. I read 3 of my favorite books that I ever read before in my life, and I've read those books over 25 times, each one of them. Think and Grow Rich, As a Man Think, and The Richest Man in Babylon, or As a Woman Think. I started consuming myself. I went from being a non-reader to an advocate reader, meaning that all I wanted to do all day long was just lay in my bed and read and read and read and read, and I found out that books took me to places that I had never been before, places that I never thought about going. I met people that I could never have met on the streets, people like Sam Walton, Phil Knight, Les Brown. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And these people became my mentors. Just like when I was growing up in South Central, the gangbangers and the drug dealers were my mentors. Well, now I have mentors who actually ran this country.
Okay. And I see you brought your book with you also. Can you explain that a little bit? Tell us about it.
Yes, this is my autobiography. The guys on the street is calling it the Ghetto Bible. Minister Ishmael, who is the number 2 guy with the Nation of Islam, called it preventative health care for young black men. I had a school teacher out of Columbus, Ohio, say that this book is an anti-gangbanging book. I believe that this book is going to definitely change the economics for black people in America, or people in general. But I know blacks are going to read it first. Everybody else is going to take their time until after they find out the jewels that's in this book. What happened is I was sitting in my cell one day and I was contemplating, because I didn't think what I did was really a big deal. I took $125 and I turned it into $3 million a day. So what? Big deal. You were selling drugs, Rick. But after I thought about it, there were so many other guys in prison with me that were selling drugs, had never accomplished those goals. There was guys that come to me and they would say, Rick, I sold drugs, I worked hard, but I never made $5,000. And then when I thought about it, I said, well, you know what? The only thing that this young man liked is he liked the understanding of the drug business. Nobody never taught him. But if I would have taught him the business, he would have been a millionaire. So then I thought, I said, well, it must have been some skills that you were using that they didn't know about. So then after I thought about that, I said, well, Rick, can these skills be used in other things? So after I used them in learning how to read and learn how to do the law, I won my appeal. You see me here today, that's those skills. Then I said, well, can these skills be used in other businesses? We know they can be used in selling drugs. We know they can be used to learn how to read, and they can be used in the courtroom. But can they be used in everyday business? I can tell you today they can. My book, I'm a best-selling author. I was nominated for an Emmy Award for a documentary I done. My movie's just been financed 2 weeks ago. They put the money in the bank the way I wanted it done. I turned down the 4 biggest guys in Hollywood. They offered me deals, and I told them, no, thank you. I'll do my own stuff on my own terms. And now my movie's financed. I just hired the casting director that I always wanted since I've been home, and I'm telling you, things are really going well, and they can go well for you as well. But you have to put forth the effort. You have to take the time out to start to dictate to yourself what life you want for yourself.
So you have a movie on the way.
Absolutely. I got a movie. I got a TV series. I got about 2 or 3 documentaries I'm working on. Also, I'm looking for artists, too. I'm working with a guy named Brian Kennedy. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's a 5-time Grammy Award winner. He's produced Rihanna, Lady Gaga, Kelly Clarkson, Chris Brown, some of the top people in the industry. And now he's going to be going around. I'm going to take him around the country to places like this right here, to schools like this, because a lot of times the people don't know what they should be doing once they reach their stardom. They think that they're supposed to separate. You know, this system is built to where we're not taught to help each other. We're taught to not help anybody, not want anybody else to make it. And if nobody ever tells you that that's not the way it's supposed to go, then you'll believe that that's the way it is. So me and him are going to be going around the country looking for young and bright talent. We're going to be looking for people from 12 to maybe 20 years old. And he's going to produce them. He already has the album's already written, and somebody's going to become a star.
So are you starting with Official Beauty?
I heard her. We definitely going to take a look at her while we're here. You know, I believe that anybody can make it. I'm not one of those people who believe that there's not enough room for everybody. I believe that there's plenty of room at the top. I believe that the people at the top make you believe that there's no room on the top, because that way you don't challenge them for their position. And we already know that if the people on the bottom all start working together, pretty soon they'll control the power.
Okay. So back to you being in jail. When you were in there, was there a certain respect level there, or was there always people trying to, you know, challenge you?
I get respect everywhere I go. You know? I mean, I don't know how it happened, and sometimes I don't know if I deserve the respect that I get, but I know that to accept it and try to stay humble and just, you know, enjoy life right now. You know, I'm excited. I'm happy. In jail, I was excited. I was happy. I wasn't one of those guys that you see guys in jail and they cry all the time and they whine and they complain. Pretty much just like out here. Jail is just another part of society. It's pretty much no different than being out here, except the opposite sex is not there. But other than that, we have the same problems in jail that we have here. But no, I didn't have any problem in jail. And the way I spent my time, you know, I spent my time either laying on my bunk with a book or in the law library studying the law. When I was working out, I'd be on the weight pile in my own section doing my thing. So people don't really bother you when you do that. You know, when you minding your own business and you don't infringe on anybody else's rights, people will pretty much leave you alone.
Okay. So once you got out, what did you do when you was released?
It's funny you asked me that. My next book is already ready. I got a book that documents my first 6 months out of prison, and it talks about, you know, how I was going around trying to put my life back on track. The book is called Riding with Rick. I can't release it, though. I made a promise to myself, if I don't sell 100,000 of these, the world will never get to see Riding with Rick. So if y'all want to see Riding with Rick and all the people that I met, you know, including Floyd Mayweather, Ori Emanuel, all those people are in the book, and it talks about my actual encounters with them, how I dealt with those relationships.
Okay. So you're pretty successful today. So you wrote 2 books. So was your past life decisions worth the outcome of today?
Well, my past life thing has nothing to do with who I am today. I separated myself from my past. I don't really talk about my past unless it's brought up because yesterday is history, tomorrow is the future, and I'm more focused on what's going to happen tomorrow and not focus on yesterday. I mean, other people can beat me up or whatever they want to do. They can glorify my past. It don't matter to me, because that means that you're living in the past. I'm living in the future. I'm going to write tomorrow's history. So my goal is more important to me to start writing tomorrow's history than to worry about yesterday's past.
Okay. And are you often approached by people on the streets, like the media or just any person?
Every now and then I get stopped by TMZ, you know, when I'm going through the airport, and they ask me about, like last time they stopped me, they asked me about Donald Trump. if I would comment on him and something he had said. I don't remember exactly what it was, but every now and then, you know, I get stopped. I'm on the radio more so than I do TV, but there's going to probably be a media blitz about me in the next couple months once they find out some of the things that I've been doing and some of my accomplishments. You know, most people that when they meet me and they hear about my past, they think that I'm one way, and then when they actually get to meet me, they find out that I'm totally not what they thought I was. Because I'm really almost like a whole package. You know, I have the streets and I have the books now, even though I don't have the degrees to go along with it. You know, how many people can say they went to Brown University and got paid? You know, Stanford, UCLA, USC Law School, and actually get paid for doing that without a high school diploma, without a GED. I mean, how many people can actually do that? It's not rare that people can do that. And I told them that they didn't pay me enough. You know, they paid me $4,500 for about 40 minutes to maybe an hour and a half, and I was like, oh, y'all got me cheap, because I already know that in the near future you will have to pay me $100,000 to come out and talk to you.
Okay. So how do you feel about the rapper Rick Ross, and you happen to change your name because of him stealing yours?
Well, I don't really feel any particular way about him. That comes up a lot, you know, in my talks with people, but he's not really on my radar. My sights are much bigger than that. Right now, my goal is to take over Hollywood and some of these other businesses that that our people are into, and we don't really, even though we're the faces of the business, we don't really do business with these people. And a lot of times it's because we're afraid of actually speaking up for what we deserve, and we wind up taking a lot less. And they tried to do me like that, and I didn't go for it. And now I'm going to show other people how they can do the same thing that I've been doing. And that's one of the reasons that I wrote this book, because this book is a fearless book. You know, there's not many people who can talk and say the things that I say, because they don't pay my rent. You don't pay my bills. So I get my money from the streets. The streets buy my book. I own my book, and nobody else takes care of me. So I get to say anything I want to say to whoever I want to say it to.
Okay. Would you say people my age walking a criminal path, or what would you say to people my age walking a criminal path?
Well, the first thing is that our people have to know is that this system is designed to belittle you, and I don't know if I said that right or not, but what I mean by that is that this system is made to make you believe that you're not important, that you're not special. You know, it's made to believe that these guys you see on TV, that they are special, and that you're nothing, and that you should take all your money and give it to them, and that you shouldn't have anything and they should have everything. And that goes along with criminality. That makes us believe that we should be criminals, go out and commit crime so that we can look like and act like the people that they put on TV to make us believe that they're special, and at the same time belittle us to make us believe that we're nothing.
Okay. Now that you're older, you've changed a little bit. What would your definition of thug be? Like, how do you feel about that word?
You know, I never really used the word thug, because I never thought of myself as a thug. You know, I was a businessman that sold drugs. So it's a meaning that I didn't make drugs. I didn't bring drugs into this country. All I did was what this country does. This country manipulates money. The people at the top manipulate money, and all I did was manipulated money and drugs, and that was my crime. What they should call me is a money manipulator and not a drug dealer, because that's really all I did was took money and manipulated in the drug business.
Okay, I like that. Times have very much changed from when you were running the streets, or actually running the streets. How do you feel about today's generation, like as far as the crime going on, like just the whole world?
Well, I really feel sorry for our young people, because our society is such a hypocrite. You know, it's so hypocritical that I go to high schools and the principals don't want to let me in. But you can go in that same high school and they got Jeezy playing on the radio. They got guys that are talking about selling drugs, pimping, taking pills, using drugs. I ain't never told nobody to use drugs. You ain't gonna never hear me tell nobody to use drugs. I never gave nobody drugs. But they won't let me on the compound, on the institution, because they like compounds because they dictate everything that happens there. And if you don't have any freedom, then you just like in prison. That's the only thing. The difference between prison and anywhere is that you don't have the right to say and do what you want to do when you want to do it. So it's so hypocritical for me to see our kids have to cipher through this brainwashing, programming, as they call the radio, and TV is programming. So for them to be programmed into believing that selling drugs and using drugs is cool, but then they want to lock them up for it, and then to have somebody who has actually been in the drug business that will tell you that it don't work, that it ain't cool, and that you're going to go to jail, for them never to get that message from the other side is hypocritical. So now young people have to wind up making decisions on false information.
So what would be your message to today's youth?
Well, the most important thing that you can do is become a critical thinker. You have to come to the point to where you can sit down yourself and decide what information is real and what information is false. And you also have to look into the future for yourself. You have to say, you know what, if I do this right now, where is this going to lead me in 5 years? Because when my guys introduced me to drugs, they never told me that I was going to go to prison. They told me, oh, you're going to get cars, you're going to have women, you're going to have jewelry, you're going to be able to take care of your family. They told me all of that, but they never told me that at the end of that rainbow was going to be some silver handcuffs.
All right. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you spending your time with us. And
well, you know what? I thank you for having me here. It's very brave of you to have sit down beside me, because there's so many people that don't want to be next to me, that don't want to talk to me because of my past. And they living in the past and not the future. When you recognize the future, you have a chance to build. When you're going with the past, all you can do is let be what it is.